At this time, the microphones are open for public comment for those who have signed in prior to this session. I shall call individuals to the microphone based on the order of the sign-in sheet. Each statement made by participants shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration. The total time of public comment shall be limited to 60 minutes. No individual is able to yield their time to another individual. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participants may address or question a board member individually. The following rules for public participation shall apply. Time limits will be strictly enforced. No personal attacks on individuals. No vulgar and indecent language. A person may address the board no more than once during a single meeting. Speakers should refrain from naming individuals, and comments or questions posed during public sessions will not be debated. As a reminder, this is a meeting of the board in public, not a meeting of the public. At this time, I call up Ms. Christina Morera.
Good evening. At the last board meeting, July 21st, a resolution was passed recommending that Jennifer Cedeno, Interim Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, be designated as Deputy Custodian of Records. During that meeting, Commissioner Cravado made a motion to have the resolution amended to be Dr. Cedeno, and rightfully so, as she worked hard to earn it. Then she asked that the word interim be removed from her title of Assistant Superintendent. Being interim is not just something you can add or take out. It would have the same effect as arbitrarily removing the term vice from vice principal. It would constitute a change in employment status that only the superintendent has the authority to make. Dr. Cedeno was reappointed by Mrs. Hugelmeyer as interim assistant superintendent at the June 19th meeting. Her employment contract was approved as such. In today's agenda, there is a resolution recommending that Dr. Cedeno finally be appointed as assistant superintendent for teaching and learning. The only problem? The board cannot make an appointment to any position other than the superintendent, the board secretary, or the board attorney. This current resolution does not be recommended by the superintendent. Mrs. Hugelmeyer has the sole authority to appoint, and the board has the authority to approve. The resolution was clearly worded to conform to the legal requirements of the law. At that same board meeting, this board unlawfully appointed Mr. Jackson to 3 positions amounting to $55,755, one of which was head high school football coach, for which the current coach, Quinn, was not terminated. Another job title and position he received was a personal assistant, which is used exclusively in special education, where an individual education plan for a particular student in special ed calls for a personal assistant. We would like the superintendent to certify to the public and to the taxpayers that she in fact appointed Mr. Jackson to that position of personal assistant and assigned him to Halsey House, and that he will service full-time as a personal assistant to a child with special needs whose IEP specifically calls for the provision of personal assistant. If this certification is not made in writing by September 1st, then we will call for an investigation by the Office of the County Prosecutor. Mr. Williams is supposed to be advising the board members at every meeting. Attorney Williams is seated at the right hand of the president of the board. Why, I'm not sure, as the usual position is at the end of the dais, acting in an advisory position. Attorney Williams is acting as the 10th member by speaking, participating, and even assisting in the running of the meeting without being called upon by the president or the board.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call Ms. Marie Lorenz.
Good evening. At the last board meeting, I spoke about choice and how some members of this board campaign on change and transparency. I have done research on other districts and how they operate regarding committee meetings. The New Jersey School Board Association allows the district to choose making committee meetings public. In researching 8 different districts of various sizes, they choose to have public participate in their committee meetings. I also noted that the board members discuss items in committees and formally vote on them at board meetings. They also discuss issues which in the years of attending these board meetings seems more like a rubber stamp board more than votes on an agenda or non-agenda items without much discussion. Since you choose to not have the public participate in these committee meetings, you have also chosen to circumvent our right to public speaking and our input as parents. Parents of 5 out of 9 of you are not. So what qualifies you to make decisions on our children without our input? Last year, Madam President, you reminded Mr. Mean, Madam Vice President, you reminded Mr. Mean that you ran on special needs January 2015. And this is what you said.
Good evening to all of you.
Oh, sorry, let me see to that part. You said about special needs and how you campaigned on it. Well, since then, we have been on special education committees that have met twice this year, and at the last board meeting, Mr. Rodriguez, the chairperson, gave a 22-second update. What are you doing? What changes have you made? You have essentially created a policy that hurts the parents by placing caps on evaluation, something that the previous board never did, and you amended a policy that before that the PTO must recommend to now principals in a child study team, essentially making this policy worse and circumventing parents' right to choose. Do any of you have a special needs child? Do you understand what you're doing? There's only one qualified person on this board, Mr. Pereira, to give input, and he's excluded from the special ed committee. Meanwhile, those without kids and special needs or otherwise are making radical, hurtful, and irresponsible decisions. I want this board to understand that as a mother of 2 special needs kids, I have sat here and watched several of you use special needs as a platform along with the children as political props. I believe that the district does that always all. Unfortunately, it is easier said than done. The board has allowed inequity to permeate our schools because many students' quality of education depends heavily on their zip code. I strongly believe that you all should be listening to the input of a community of parents that know best for their children. So I ask you again, Madam President, your commitment to transparency and to choose for committee meetings to be open to public participation. Does anyone here think that it's appropriate for you not to attend a committee meeting and not give your input? And that if you're a special needs parent, that they have to go ahead and have a school administrator go ahead and choose for you? I just want to wrap up my sentence, Madam President. Do any of you?
Thank you.
Ms. Barrett? Ms.
Thank you,
Barbosa?
Lorenz.
Does anybody
Thank
here?
you. Your time is up.
I think I wanted to tell them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm calling Ms. Jacqueline Fernandez.
Public has no voice because the district wants to circumvent it. That's the problem. District running the district.
I'm a single parent of 2 girls. I grew up in sunny New Jersey where I was so blessed to begin preschool and end high school where I received an intense and rigorous education. I was ecstatic to share the same education that made graduating college degrees with my daughter, who will be going to 4th grade this September. Due to financial reasons, we had to move to Elizabeth. My daughter entered school number 23 in March of 2016. Through my research, including greatschools.org, I saw that not only were the test scores failing, but there were numerous reviews on poor leadership and bullying. The day I dropped her off, I was informed she would not even be in the main building, but in the annex building that they shared with the Board of Education. Where adults of any sort could come in and out, this was due to overcrowding. I was even more distraught. The biggest blessing was when I picked her from school and she told me she liked it. I couldn't have received better news. I told myself I will not judge the school from previous reviews and will see what the future of this school holds for my child. 3 weeks later, the bullying started. My daughter came home crying almost every day. By the time I would get home from work, she would already be in bed. She was getting hit and teased by 4 different boys on a daily basis. The teacher never once informed me. She can't concentrate on her schoolwork because of the boys bothering her. The fact that she told me she stopped telling her teacher about the boys harassing her because she never does anything hurt her. It is not until someone is beat up, killed, or becomes suicidal that things come to light and all of a sudden people want to take action. My sole purpose of taking this step is that all I want for my child is to be given a chance and opportunity to succeed and receive a great education like promised. She cries almost every day when getting ready for school. At the end of the day, when I drop my child off, I feel it is the teacher and school's job to protect her. They can't do that, so who am I to drop my child off after she's told her teacher repeatedly and has told me, am I supposed to fail her too? That makes me equally accountable. Who will she be able to run to then? How is Elizabeth's model all for all? Is it not your statement that the concept of high expectations as Commerce on the belief that our failure to hold all students to high expectations effectively denies them access to a high-quality education, since the educational achievement of students tend to rise or fall in direct relation to the expectations placed upon them. Great leaders are committed to excellence and equity, find a way for all students to achieve high levels of academic success, regardless of any student's race, ethnicity, culture, neighborhood, income of parents. I would never think that living in this so-called land of dreams and opportunity that my child, a U.S.-born citizen, is being set up for failure. Please tell me how it is okay with anyone on this board to allow innocent children of our future to attend, or matter of fact, have a failing school in general. Don't you think that it is a vast number of schools in your city that have failing test score average, that something is wrong? It's not the schools that are failing, you are failing. You who made a promise to these parents are failing us, the city, and our children. My child should not have to pay or be set up for failure because I don't have the finances to live in a better area that's coming. I'm disgusted at the fact that
I'm sorry, but your time is up.
You're rude. You are so rude.
I'm
So rude. Let her finish her statement. Remember that for November 8th. They don't care.
Again, in the instructions that I read, it said that each person had 3 minutes to
You can let
respond.
them finish.
Thank you.
You want the
At
public
this
to
time, our last speaker will be Maria Maderos.
They don't want the public's input.
No, that's why they're doing this, especially letting the district pick, so that they can go ahead and manage it.
Good evening.
This is ridiculous. You come into a school board, bullying going on, bullying from you guys to parents, parents with you guys. Kids are getting bullied everywhere. When does it stop? When do you become a whole and work together to stop what's going on? Recently, I've been bullied on social media by Jose Rodriguez's little pet Sylvia. I didn't appreciate that because my 16-year-old grandson seen it and my kids seen it. And that's hurtful. So if nobody wants dirty laundry out there, don't attack. Because I'm vicious with attacking right back. We're all running a campaign. Let's keep it clean. Let's stop this slander. Let's stop this social media. Because it's not only that you're hurting me because I'm a grown-up, but when it affects my children. My 27-year-old had to come to me yesterday and cry because he seen the nasty things that Jose Rodriguez had his little pet doing. And if you don't want the ugliness in which I have all the text messages with you and your little pet, I suggest it stops. Because you're not going to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt Mr. Navon and Mrs. Barbosa. So I suggest let's stop this bullying that's going on in social media because we're all grown-ups. Years ago, I used to be the radical person that used to come in here, yell, and scream. I'm 51 years old. I have to set the best example I can for my grandchildren. And it's hurtful that I have to attack somebody because they attacked me. I'm not here to be attacked. But I could get ugly too. I could go through everybody's past. They came out trying to say that I have a criminal record. I'm clean. I'm clean as a whistle. They try saying, hey, Mr. Jose, your friend turned around and says I'm a gang member. I have no gang tattoos. I was never affiliated or police saying Maria De Rossi is affiliated. And as for my organization, it's not my organization. It's the Ecuadorian organization. My name is not even part of it. Yes, I am the founder. But you know something? It's not a campaign thing. I could care less. I do more for the people for the city. I don't take pictures. I don't take recognition. Because what my heart says, I'm giving back to the community what the community gave to me and my family. So you know something? As I'm saying, we're all grown-ups. We all have a lot of skeletons in our closets, Ms. Rodriguez. Please, don't let me start opening up the closets.
Thank you.
Keep your pet away from me.
At this time, I close the public portion of the meeting. The President requests a motion to go into private session to consider matters exempt under the Open Public Meetings Act, specifically for discussion of personnel, specifically supplemental personnel reports, interviews, grievances, increment withholding, settlements, specifically NO, MP, CR, HR, CD, and KD. Legal matters, specifically special education, AH, AD, and workers' compensation matters, specifically LN, LS, LHS, CK, NB, KG, and PS. The board will reconvene in public to take formal action. May I have a motion to go into private session, please?
Motion to go into private, second.
Moving on second to go into private. Roll call, please.
Amin.
Yes.
Cabral.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Nera.
Yes.
Neiman.
Yes.
Ferrer.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trujillo.
Abstain.